All right, we're gonna do a mouse today. Uh, I'm taking bits of old, previously done concepts, and I'm adding a little bit of new. Um, I think the most important part of a mouse fly is the tail. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on. I have some synthetic hair. We're going to try to incorporate this for the tail, but I wanted to also add a little flash to the tail. So I have some polar flash, and then I'll take some of my synthetic hair, not too much, maybe a little bit more, and then I will not, let's trim it out, make it a little bit easier. I'm gonna knot one end. Just so it's a little bit easier to manage. Okay, there it is. Not perfect, but knotted. And you could tie it in just knotted, but it's gonna come apart. So we want to consolidate the fibers. So I'm going to hold it tight with this my left, and then I'm going to spin it and trap it and spin it and trap it till it builds some tension. And there it goes. So it furled up, and now it's a nice solid piece. And so we'll tie that in for the tail. For the hook, this is a size 2 barbless stinger style hook, and so this is what we'll use to tie it in. And then we'll use a peach color. This is a Danville 100. I probably should have strung this up before we started. And we'll get this through. Got a little piece of mono I used. I'll get another piece of mono. Wonder where it went. And we'll just make a new one. Okay, a piece of monofilament. Pinch it off. Try to get a little angle there so it fits through the bobbin. And then we can thread the end of the thread through the bobbin. Finish. Now we can't lose that, so we'll put it over there. All right, let's start with the thread base. Then we have our sparkle unicorn tail. We'll tie that in right there. I think you could do some streamer patterns like this as well. Maybe a little bit fuller. But yeah, that's a good looking tail. Good looking tail. And that will be good like that. Let's give her a trim. All right. So the body, we're going hair, we're going foam. We're going to do this in segments. So we'll tie in a bunch of hair. We don't care how clean it is. We'll trim the bottoms a bit, and then we'll add some tabs of foam. We'll add another clump of hair. We're not going to pack it like a traditional hair fly. So the reason is that we can save material. You know, we don't have to use a ton of deer hair to tie this pattern. That's the hope. That's the hope. All right, so we will trim off some hair. Clean it just a touch. We'll go ahead and too loose securing, and then tighten down. We should have cleaned it a bit more. It flares out. Yeah, that's okay. We'll trim the top, but we'll keep the bottom. And then we'll try to get one more segment in, advance, and then we'll do one more clump, and then we'll do our first tab of foam. First tab of foam. So let's do another clump. Clean this one up better than we did the last one. And then we'll tie it in to securing. Let it flare a bit. Trim out the tops. Organize. Advance the thread. All right. First foam segment. So we're doing a strip. Most of them use like a heavier, thicker 4 mil foam, but we're going to tie in 2 strips of 2 mil foam. So it'll sit like that. So let's knock it off, and then we'll notch in a tie-in point. Boom, boom. Then we'll tie it in so it's sitting back. All right, that's our first foam tab. Okay, and then we'll repeat it. We'll do two sections of deer hair and then one more foam tab. Then that'll be done. That'll be it. No legs. No legs. Clean it up a bit. Then tie her down. Ooh, we're not getting very good coverage on the bottom. That's okay. Advance the thread. Create a little gap. And one more bunch. Okay. Measure it out. Too loose securing. Oh, that one spun a lot. Let's bring it back. And tighten it down. Advanced thread. Cut out your gap. All right. Second foam tab. Fold. Tie-in point. Tie it in. That looks okay. We're going to need to adjust the length of those tie-in points, but not horrible. We could do a deer hair head, or we could do a foam face. I should have thought of this before. What we want to do. The reason we did the tabs was to save hair, so we'll just continue with trying to utilize other materials. I think there's enough hair on this, so we'll cut out a little bit of foam. We need 2 pieces for the face, and then we'll start building like this. Or we could fold over. Yeah, I think we do a second tab slightly wider, and then just tie it in and call it good. Yeah, we'll do second tab. Just tie that in, finish it off. It's not a fancy. It's not going to win any awards, but I think it'll get the job done. All right, that's it. Let's check our coverage on the bottom. Looks okay. And then we'll whip finish and start trimming. Oh, I found that mono I was looking for earlier. Nuts. Where's my whip finish? All right. Looking at this, I should have made the tail longer. You live and you learn. Okay. I think we can. Let me pick this out before I start trimming. So a real tight razor trim is going to expose because we didn't pack the hair super tightly. So I think you're better off trimming it with the scissors. So we'll just slowly start knocking out the belly section with scissors. Just to see what shape we get. Clean that up. Okay, shape starting to come. We want to consider the face and how it's going to push through the water. A wider face, a more narrow face, but should have some kind of angle. So we'll start building that angle. Building the angle. That's good. Knocking down the sides a bit. That's good. All right, so we're getting the shape going. The other thing you want to consider is your hook gap. The belly hair gives way a little bit, but you're not going to catch any fish if you don't expose that hook point. So I think we need to take this down a little bit more. And then in order to do that, we're going to need a razor blade. So we'll give it a little bend and we'll just start running slow. Nice and slow. Just trying to get a little bit more of that hook point exposed, but being careful not to expose the gaps in our hair. Running slow. Yeah, I think that'll do it. The rest we can clean up with the scissors. All right. Looking good, looking good. Now, considering the profile, we're going to need to clean up the sides. Clean up the sides a bit. So make sure none of your hair is trapped. And then with our scissors, we can start cleaning up the sides. And cleaning up the sides. I think anybody could tie this mouse pattern. There. Sides are clean. Now, back to the head. So if the front two tabs are the same, then it's going to push. But if you notch the first tab down, it will give them more of a bubble, a gurgle. It'll go into the water, and then if you notch the second tab down even more, you'll get that same effect. I'm knocking off the sides, knocking off the sides, and then we have a fourth tab, and we're going to do the same thing. Make it slightly longer. Knock off the sides. There, so that there's a progression. There's short, medium, long, longer, and when it's swimming in the water, it'll create bubbles. Bloop, bloop, bloop. It'll be good. The back tabs, we'll just angle them to be consistent, but they're not going to affect the action. And we could have done more hair in the front, but this was a quick and dirty mouse. Quick and dirty mouse fly. All right, finished. Thanks for watching.